This is what bugs the shit out of me with the way that people talk about athletes. Like, it's similar to how I think about myself. It's why I started Garyvee. When I started noticing the accolades coming, I'm like, you know what? You know, a lot of people are very confused about how much work it takes. Like, I'm in the football business. These guys are banged up. Like, the amount of work they need to put to rebuild themselves for the next Sunday, and just because so many people want to be professional athletes, they think they should shut up and just this, that, and the other thing, and you laugh because people just don't have context on other people's lives. It's how I feel about everybody. I literally mean this. I envy no one. No one makes me jealous, not because I'm so cool. It's because I know that I don't know what's actually happening. Like, every person I see walking around, I mean, this is my biggest thing for people that are coming from, you made the point already. I actually believe, especially now with the internet where there are no gatekeepers like universities and rich families and many other things, that coming from adversity is the great advantage now. I keep trying to tell kids that are 14 that DM me and they're like, but Gary, my parents are broke. I'm fucking from the hood or from a shitty area. I'm like, and they're like, but that kid, I'm like, bro, I'm telling you right now, and this is real. I'll say it again, and this goes over very unpopularly every time I say it, but it's actually what I believe. You show me an 18-year-old right now in Malibu driving an open-top Mercedes, and you show me some kid working at Chick-fil-A in South Carolina, and I swear on all I've got, I think the Chick-fil-A kid's happier.
100%.
With all I've got, I believe
100%.
it. I do not think people understand how deeply unhappy people that are privileged are at a youth level in today's current society. You know, you could sell me on 1954, I think there were different dynamics, but right now, and we see it with the USC, scandal, and I see it because I read the thousands of DMs I get. Like, people are deeply unhappy, they're in drug culture, they're in depression culture, because they have too much, not because they have too little. And ultimately, it's because their parents are innuendoing to them that they're not capable without their help, which makes them feel not in control. No different than when somebody feels the government or a company or social media is in control. Like, this thought of giving, one thing that resonated to me when we had that long convo when we first met is, I remember in some of the, toughness that you were going through, I still remember this very vividly, and let me phrase, it just recalled as you were talking. I'm in love with people that actually feel confident that nobody else is in control. Like, I even in the adversity of a tough divorce, which you were in the mix at that point, I still had the inclining of accountability and not feeling like somebody else was in control, which gave me complete positive mindset that you were going to come out on the other end. The people that don't come out on the other end of adversity are the ones that have succumbed to believe that somebody else controls the outcome.
The key points that got you where you are, that would be really nice.
I got it.
History,
the key points are that as a child, as an immigrant from the Soviet Union, I had the luxury of many good things happen for me. Number one, we were poor. And so I'm an entrepreneur because, I have the DNA, but I also didn't have the luxury of being fed. If I wanted a toy, I had to buy it. So I was forced to go hunt for myself. So the key things, one, being an immigrant, which led to no entitlement. I think the next biggest thing was I loved sports. And when I was a child, baseball cards became very, very big. And so at 11 and 12, I became very consumed by it. And that's when I started really building businesses. But the things that made me, like the history, was I went from lemonade and washing cars and shoveling snow, anything to make $1 from 6 to 12. Then 12 to 15 was baseball cards, where I really learned.
You use those baseball cards, right?
Yes.
Collection.
Yes.
At that age, did you realize, were you like really conscious about all that you were learning? Like,
No.
Did you have the palate, or you just did it because?
No, and not only that, on a stage maybe 4 years ago, while giving a talk about my history, it clicked to me what I was actually learning, which was when I was selling lemonade, I wasn't selling lemonade, I wasn't behind the table, I was walking in the streets, making signs and putting them on trees. At baseball card shows, the reason I did so well was my table was different. I would set it up differently, I would walk around the show. I was paying attention to people naturally at a very young age. When I worked for my dad's liquor store and I had to stand behind the register and be the cashier, I would literally watch every single customer walk into the store and I would watch them. How would they walk? What would they grab? Why? And so when the internet came along, it came very natural to me to understand that people were gonna pay attention to the computer, and I wanted to understand how. So my history has been completely predicated on watching people. It's why I know a lot about youth culture. I read all your DMs. You know, if you read 500 Instagram DMs from 15 to 25-year-olds every single day, you have a very good idea of what 15 to 25-year-olds are thinking about. For me, it's all been about listening. Which is interesting because I'm such a loud talker, right? So it throws people off, but my whole career has been about listening. You know, it's funny, in 2009 when I wrote Crush It, because I wrote it in 2008, we were coming out of a real economic downturn. And we were coming off out of the 7 years of prosperity. And I felt that people had gotten soft and it was very important for me. And at the time, the word hustle was more like, you know, a Jersey kind of term. It was so much less in the consciousness. And to me, it meant work ethic. I'm like, look, in a world like that we live in now where there's not a lot of opportunity, you're gonna have to outwork the other animals. It's part of the equation. I believe that today. But over the last decade, because of all the prosperity, the word has gotten absolutely demonized. And I've gotten thrown under the bus a lot of times of propaganda. People claim that I push what eventually leads to burnout. And I laugh at that because I'm like, man, you're just taking my natural energy as a communicator. You're not listening to what I'm actually saying. You know, I've been very adamant that I'm a big fan of sleep. I myself, I'm trying to think about last night. I slept 8 hours last night. Like, I'm a big fan of sleep. I'm just a huge fan of leaving it on the field when you're awake. You know, so many people are looking for happiness and success, and I'm like, well, one of the good ways to do that is to not listen to 2 hours worth of YouTube videos, play an hour of 2K, consume 48 minutes of your stream of Instagram, and, you know, like, what are you doing when you're awake? How are you maximizing your time then? I'm so proud and grateful that you're talking about that, and it's really funny. I know that a lot of people don't view me as a champion of it, but I talk about it often. Like, there's almost never, at all costs, I'm trying to sleep minimum 6 hours.
You have to.
Like, it happens where I'll take a red eye or this and that, but I promise you, if I get 4, which by the way, only happens once every month max. If I get 4, that Saturday, I'm getting 10. Mm-hmm. I just think I hate that people think sleep is what you have to give up for the grind. What you have to give up for the grind or your ambitions is the dumb shit during the day that you waste time on.
Do you ever get down? What gets you down?
As long as the 8 to 12 core people in my life are healthy, I struggle to really get down. I just don't know how to do it. And so when you live your life that way, losing a big account or somebody calling you out is just not that painful. You just put it into context. I usually just take it. This is so interesting. I think you'll find this interesting. My favorite scene in movies is always when somebody gets punched in the mouth and they take the punch, they spit their tooth out, and then they look back at the other person. I don't know if you've seen that. There's always some version of that scene. That's who I am as a fucking human being. Like, I'm built to get punched in the mouth, I'm gonna spit my front tooth out, and I'm gonna look right back at you and be like, now what?